Good morning, student. We have seen the regarding the endocrine pancreas and its secretion, detail about the various secretion of pancreas, that exocrine and endocrine. Then the secretion of alpha and beta cells, isn't it? And particularly insulin. So up to last lecture, we have seen how the insulin is secreted or synthesized in the beta cells of pancreas, and how it is stored and how it is released, isn't it? So we have a pancreas where there are, if you see the structure as usual, and we have inside there are islets of Langerhans, which are consist of a group of cells, and these cells basically four types of cells: alpha, beta, delta and pp cells, in which alpha and beta cells, they are more related, that is important in this particular lecture. Alpha cell secrete glucagon and beta cell secrete most important endocrine hormone, that is insulin. So alpha cells and beta cells of the islets of Langerhans. Now these alpha cells, when the alpha cells are stimulated, isn't it? Alpha cells are stimulated when there is a hypoglycemia, isn't it? So hypoglycemia stimulate will stimulate alpha cell, secretion of alpha cell, while hyperglycemia that is increased blood sugar level will stimulate beta cells for its insulin secretion. So this secrete insulin and beta cells glucagon. Okay, so when there is a hypoglycemia, normal blood sugar level is supposed to be 80 to 120 milligram percent in human being and in monogastric animals. So when there is a hypoglycemia, when the sugar level is less than 80, there is a stimulus for secretion of alpha cell. There is a hypoglycemia when the glucose is gone. How to remember this? Glucagon, alpha cell secrete glucagon, isn't it? And hypoglycemia stimulate the secretion of alpha cell, while beta cells are stimulated when there is a hyperglycemia, increase in the blood sugar level. Understood? So this is normal blood sugar level in case of monogastric animals and particularly in human being, and when the blood sugar level increases above 120 milligram percent, there is a stimulus for synthesis of beta cells and synthesis of insulin from the beta cell. So this, up to this you must have understood. Now when this insulin is released in the blood circulation, what will happen to this? Isn't it? What is its what is the role of this insulin? How it act on the various organs? Now organs, particularly liver, muscle and adipose tissue. So insulin play important role in the storage of the whatever the glucose, isn't it? There is an increase in the blood sugar level. After the fed state, that is after the post absorptive state, there is an increase in the blood glucose level. So this increase in the blood glucose level, that this glucose should be utilized by the cell, and also it is should be stored as an energy source. So how it is, what is the action of insulin for this? So I'll draw this insulin is carried to the liver hepatocyte, and suppose this is a liver drawn here. Okay, so this is liver. Now on the liver there are special type of you can say transporters which are present on the liver. This or liver hepatocytes, there are special types of transporters. So this glucose is carried through the blood, or an increased level of blood sugar in the blood. This is a blood sugar level, glucose, it is carried and is to be transported in the hepatocytes. Now on this hepatocytes there is special receptors. These are these receptors, or these are transporters. They are called as a GLUT2. That is the glucose transporter 2. Same type of transporter we have seen on the beta cells of pancreas. Now these transporters brings the glucose inside of the cell. Now this GLUT2 transporter, there is a peculiarity of this is that these transporters, they are independent of insulin action. That means insulin is not required to the transport of this glucose inside the hepatocytes. GLUT2 transport, in the case of GLUT2, glucose transporter type 2, isn't it? Once glucose is enter inside here in the hepatocyte, now there is a how the insulin stimulate on this pathway for the that is utilization or storage of this glucose, so that the blood sugar level will goes down. Suppose this is a blood capillary where we have a blood glucose increase, and this will causes uptake of glucose in the hepatocyte. Now in case of this thing insulin, the insulin also there is secreted in the blood. Now what is the action of this insulin? How this insulin helps in the utilization of this glucose in the hepatocyte? So there are another type of receptors on the surface of the hepatocyte, isn't it? These receptors are called the insulin receptors or tyrosine kinase receptors. Tyrosine kinase receptors. Okay, so these receptors has got a tyrosine kinase activity. That means it phosphorylate the other, you can say, the cytoplasmic signal transmission factors, isn't it? And for that signal transduction, or you can say cytoplasmic signaling pathway, isn't it? So there is a, so this insulin we have seen here is attached or combines with these receptors, and there is a conformational changes in these receptors, and there is a tyrosine kinase activity, and this leads to formation of the formation of cascade of reactions. There is a cascade of different. This is a very complex process, signaling pathway, and these signals they are sent, and there is a phosphorylation of various factors and molecules, in which there is formation of phosphatidyl inositol 3 kinase AKT. These are the signaling pathways. This AKT is nothing but the protein kinase B or PKB. Okay, and this is very important. The protein kinase B brings about the various, isn't it, reactions, or it catalyze, stimulate the various reactions in the cell for the utilization of glucose. Okay, so this is the this is called as a signaling pathway, cytoplasmic signaling pathway, where when this insulin combines with the insulin receptors, tyrosine kinase receptors, and it brings about the various conformational changes. It phosphorylate the various molecules or factors and activate the various molecules, and most important activated molecule is a protein kinase B. So phosphatidyl inositol 3 kinase or AKT, that is protein kinase B, is a important enzyme which activate other, isn't it? Now here, whatever the glucose which is enter in the hepatocyte, this glucose is converted to important storage in the storage form, that is a glycogen. So glycogen is a storage form of glucose. So this protein kinase B or insulin will stimulate the activity of this formation of glycogen, that is a glycogenesis. So it will stimulate glycogenesis. So this is the most important thing, that is whatever the glucose it is enter in the hepatocyte, it is converted into glycogen, store form of energy, and in this way it will utilize the glucose. Second thing, glucose is it is converted to glucose 6 phosphate, isn't it? Then it is converted to pyruvate and then acetyl coenzyme A. This acetyl coenzyme A enters into TCA cycle, okay, and it will give the FADH2, NADH, and results into ATP generation. So here ATP are generated. So in this way, this is the one pathway, that is a synthesis, glycogen synthesis, glycogenesis, and another pathway here it is called glycolysis. So these are the two important pathways which are stimulated by this protein kinase, isn't it? So this will also stimulate this pathway, that is glycolysis. Okay, so this is about the fate of, what is the fate of glucose when there is an increase in the blood glucose level. So it transported to the hepatocytes. These particular GLUT2 transporters are independent of the insulin action. So these are the free transport of glucose in the hepatocyte to the GLUT2 transporters, and this glucose is converted to glycogen, that is glycogen. The process is glycogenesis, and second is it causes the breakdown of glucose, that is and used as an energy source by generation of ATP, that is a glycolysis. So these are the two important pathway in the liver. Now we'll come to next, isn't it? This is about what happened and the glucose in the liver. Now coming to other important organ which utilize this particular glucose, that is muscle. So we have this blood vessel, isn't it? Now in blood, which contain your glucose, there is an increased level of glucose, there is fatty acids, amino acid, isn't it, and insulin, of course. Fatty acid, amino acids. Okay, so in post-absorptive state, we have studied that there is a increase in the level of all this, that is glucose, fatty acids, amino acid in the blood, and insulin also secreted or stimulated. So what happened to this glucose, fatty acids, amino acids in the muscle, how they are utilized, that we will see now. Now if you see the muscle, we have muscle cell, we draw the muscle cell here. I will draw the muscle here. Okay, so in muscle, in same as that of the liver, there are receptors or transporters, sorry, they are present on the muscle cell, this type of transporters. Now these transporters will brings these glucose inside the so glucose is carried inside the muscle cell. Okay, now another type of receptors that we have studied already, which are receptors for the insulin, they are present on this. Now here the transporters which are present on the muscle, they are GLUT4 type of transporters. They are GLUT4 type of transporters. Most important thing, because in case of liver and pancreas or beta cells or hepatocyte, these transporters are GLUT2 types, which are GLUT2 types receptors. They are independent of the insulin action, isn't it? While GLUT4 type of receptors, they are dependent on the insulin for their action or for the entry of glucose inside the cell. So insulin, it is combined with the receptors here, and same way which stimulate this tyrosine kinase pathway of signal transduction, like formation of phosphatidylinositol 3 kinase, AKT, is protein kinase, PKB, isn't it? This is very important intermediate, or you can say in the signal transduction process. Okay, now this phosphatidylinositol 3 kinase or PKB, which stimulate the process on this GLUT2 transporter, and it will activate this GLUT4 transporter for the entry of sugar or glucose inside the. Okay, so same the pathway is the same. Only thing is that here in GLUT4 receptor, this transporters, these channels, they are dependent on insulin, isn't it, for their action. Now this glucose, when it is comes inside, what will happen? Same way it is converted to glycogen by the activating various enzymes, isn't it, for the synthesis of glycogen here. What? So this will also stimulate the synthesis of glycogen. This process is called as a glycogenesis. Okay, so this is one way of utilization of glucose and by the muscle cell and storage. Second is, as usual, we have seen that glucose is converted to acetyl coenzyme A and it is utilized by the glucose 6 phosphate, then pyruvate, then converted into acetyl coenzyme A, and then it is used as it enters into TCA cycle and you get ATP. Okay, so that is this particular pathway. It is called as a glycolysis pathway. It is called as glycolysis. So this is another pathway. One is a glycogenesis, synthesis of glycogen, and second is a synthesis of ATPs, that is a breakdown of glucose for the energy purpose, that's the glycolysis. Now one more type of receptors which are present on this muscle cells. Now these receptors are called amino acids transporters. Receptors or transporters are amino acids transporters. Amino acid transporters. Okay, so when there is a in post absorptive state, the amino acid, after protein digestion, the amino acid concentration, it is increased and the amino acid uptake from the muscle cell through these transporters increases, and this is stimulated by this insulin, isn't it? So this amino acid transporters brings the amino acids in the muscle cells, and the amino acids, they are used for synthesis of proteins, and this process is called as a protein synthesis. Protein synthesis. So this is also activated by this protein kinase. Okay, so this is way what happens when the insulin, which is action on the muscle cell, isn't it? So one is it stimulate the uptake of glucose, isn't it? Second is it stimulate glycolysis. Third is it stimulate glycogenesis. Fourth is it stimulate amino acid uptake, and fifth is stimulate protein synthesis. So you can see what is how the this particular insulin is important for utilization of all these nutrients which are they will increase in the blood after the post absorptive state. Okay, so this is about how the insulin acts on the muscle and how it stimulate the glucose uptake, it stimulate the glycolysis, got it stimulate the glycogenesis, what stimulate the protein synthesis by stimulate amino acid. So these are the things happen in the muscle cell. Okay, now coming to the last or next important tissue where this particular insulin acts is the adipose cell, isn't it, or adipose tissues. So I'll draw one adipose tissue here, not many adipose tissues are there. Now we have in adipose tissue there are triacylglycerol. These are the glycerol and fatty acids. Okay, now in adipose tissue, so this is a nucleus of adipose tissue. There are the receptors or transporters, same as that of what we have studied in the muscle. They have got a transporters. Okay, blood vessel where there is a glucose, fatty acid, amino acids level and insulin. Now this glucose, there is a receptors for the or transport for the GLUT4 type of transporter, same as that of the muscle cell. Okay, and another important you can say receptors which are present for the insulin, they are the tyrosine kinase receptors, that insulin receptor tyrosine kinase, where the insulin combines with this. Okay, now these tyrosine kinase receptors or insulin receptors, they brings about the very cascade of reactions or phosphorylation of various proteins and the various enzymes or intermediates they are formed, and finally this pathway, that is the signal transduction pathway, where this phosphatidylinositol kinase 3 kinase and AKT, which is a protein kinase B, PKB, which is an important, isn't it, molecule, or you can say it is enzyme which brings about the various changes in this adipose tissue cell. Now glucose here, it is transported from here, isn't it? So glucose coming here. Now this glucose transportation is stimulated by this PK3, isn't it? That means it causes stimulate the uptake of glucose from this circulation or in the cell. Stimulate. What? Now next thing is same as that of other, that means this particular glucose undergo glycolysis, isn't it? But here this glucose in a glycolysis intermediate, there are formation of dihydroxyacetone phosphate, and second thing is that glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. This glycolysis we have seen, isn't it? These are the intermediate in a glycolysis. Now this protein B kinase or insulin, they stimulate the synthesis of dihydroxyacetone phosphate, and from the dihydroxyacetone phosphate, important molecule, that is glycerol. So glycerol synthesis takes place by this activation of these enzymes to convert dihydroxyacetone phosphate to the glycerol. Now this glycerol 3-phosphate is converted to same, and it undergoes the other pathway, that is converted into pyruvate and then acetyl coenzyme A. Got? Now this glycerol is used for synthesis of the fatty acids here in the. Now can you see this? This is the trialkyl glycerol. That means it has a glycerol and 3 fatty acids. Okay, TAG. Now this glycerol is along with the fatty acids which are formed by the acetyl coenzyme A. Fatty acid. Though this, so glycerol and acetyl this fatty acid and glycerol give rise to trialkyl glycerol, that is called triglyceride synthesis. So this is the way the triglyceride synthesis, and this is stimulated by this protein kinase B or insulin. Okay, so this is the important, you can say, reactions, how the glucose is utilized by the fatty acid, adipose cell for the synthesis of trialkyl glycerol, isn't it? And fatty acids, and then trialkyl glycerol. So most important action of insulin on fatty acid is it increases glucose uptake, isn't it? It stimulates the glucose uptake by stimulating GLUT4 receptors, and second, it increases lipogenesis. So this is most important